Hey guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you are on the podcast platforms, please do hit that subscribe button and go ahead and leave a review for the podcast. And if you are on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button and go ahead and hit that like button while you're at it. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. Let's just go ahead and brighten up the place. And guys, let's get into this conversation. I just did a previous conversation where I was talking about Shaunie Oneal and her new husband, Pastor Keion Henderson. And the fact that she and he are going to be having this reality show special on VH1, and she's going to be stepping back from doing Basketball Wives like she was doing before. Because now she's married to a pastor, and I'm sure being on a show with catty women that are fighting about pretty much nothing really doesn't make any sense, and it's not a good look for him and his church. And so now with her change in life and being with this man that she chose to be in a relationship and get married to, she's changing her career in a number of ways. That's not to say that she won't still be the executive producer of the show and still get paid and have her name in the credits, but in terms of her being on the show and just being involved in the ridiculous drama, I'm sure that's just not going to be a good look for her husband, who she is now, for better or for worse, married to. And then if you flip the coin and then you look at the Real Housewives of Potomac and one of the reality stars of RHOP, Gizelle Bryant, who used to be married to Jamal Bryant, who is the pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in, well, I don't know if it's in Atlanta, but it's definitely outside of Atlanta. The church that used to be pastored by Bishop Eddie Long, who is now deceased. And he used to have a church, I believe it was in Baltimore, that he started years ago. And he was married to Gizelle Bryant. They have 3 daughters. And when RHOP started several years ago, she was no longer married to him. And so at first seeing this woman on this reality show, it was like, wow, the ex-wife of a pastor that is kind of well known for a number of people is on a reality show. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see who she is, how she is, what she does, how she operates. And it's funny because even though she's not married to Pastor Jamal Bryant anymore, to see Gizelle Bryant on this television show, sometimes I think of her as still being what we call the first lady, which is the wife of a pastor. We know she's not married to Pastor Jamal Bryant anymore. I get that. But here's what I wanted to talk about, and I just really want to get your thoughts because it's just something that I thought about. Gizelle Bryant has been pretty nasty on this show. She stirs up drama. She lies. She talks about the other women's husbands. I remember one season where she was making fun of Karen Huger and her husband, calling him Uncle Ben, saying that he doesn't pay his taxes, they're broke, and a number of different things she's talked about when it comes to Karen and her husband. She's talked about Ashley and her husband, and I mean, who hasn't? But I'm just saying, she's done it. She has done it. She's talked about Candace and her husband, and she's just done a lot of things on this show. When you just see her character, and when I say character, I'm not talking about someone who is acting and playing a role. I'm talking about the character of the individual, how you operate in life, who you really are, what you really do. To me, I'm just saying what I see. To me, even though she's not married to Jamal Bryant anymore and she's no longer the first lady and she's not involved in the church or whatever, she probably was the same way when she was in this church. with Jamal Bryant. And we know he was unfaithful and he cheated on her left, right, and sideways and even had children outside of their marriage and whatnot. And I don't know if she divorced him or if he divorced her. To be honest with you, that would be a good question to know. If you guys know the answer, let me know in the comment section, because I really don't know who filed for divorce. Because it could have very well been him, but I really don't know. But I don't believe that she's any different on this show than she was when she was in the church. I just believe that she was just, honestly, when she was in the church, playing a role and covering things up. And now she's just being who she really was all along. And so you flip that and reverse it to now you have Shaunie Oneal, who was doing everything that she was doing on Basketball Wives, still trying to be pretty unproblematic, but she really was problematic. She just didn't want to be looked at like Tammy Roman. And there's been interviews that people have done. Actually, Tammy Roman discussed Shaunie Oneal on an interview that she did on Carlos King's podcast, as well as OG, who was on a few seasons of Basketball Wives, and she called Shaunie Oneal evil. And all of the things that she said, I actually believe her. So to me, it just seems as if Shaunie Oneal, she's going to be playing a role now. It's not that anything has changed. You're just playing a role because in essence, it's like you being the first lady is also a job per se that you may not really be necessarily getting paid for, where the church is actually cutting you a check like they do for the pastor of the church. You're just by proxy getting the residuals of it because of who you're married to. But in essence, you're just playing a role. And so if that is the case, then why even step back from doing Basketball Wives if you're really just going to be playing a role? Because when Pastor Jamal Bryant was going to be taking over the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Georgia, and all of that was going down, Gizelle Bryant, she came down there. Actually, I believe it was either there or maybe it was in Baltimore when he was going to be stepping down from the church up there. And she was there and she was telling the people of the congregation. I remember seeing that video. I don't have a clip of it right now. If I did, I would play the audio of it. But she was basically saying, you know, I'm still the first lady. It's like, really? But yeah, that's what she was saying. But you're on The Real Housewives of Potomac. You're cursing people out. You're getting in messy drama, involved in other people's relationships, lying on people, getting, I wouldn't say drunk, but definitely having a good time with alcohol. And I'm not judging anyone who drinks alcohol, but I'm just saying we know how the first lady of a church is supposed to supposedly be if they're going to be that way, as well as the pastor of the church. Things are just not a good look. And even in the Bible, it says, don't let your good be evil spoken of, and you have to have a good witness. So when people seeing you out here being messy and gossipy and all of those different things, but then you're supposed to be connected to the pastor of the church, then it's like, well, if she's that way, who knows what's going on in that household and who knows what he's really doing and all of these different things that you can bring up. So it just makes me think about things like that, to see how Gizelle was once in the church involved with her then husband, and now how we see her on the reality show, and then we see how Shaunie Oneal was on Basketball Wives, but now that she's married to her new husband, now she's stepping away from being on the show like she was. So it's like, y'all really haven't changed. You really haven't changed. The only thing really has changed is the relationship that you either are in or no longer in with your significant other. But you are who you are. So in essence, I'm not judging. If that's who you really are, then that's who you really are. Just be honest about it. Don't try to put a role out here that is really not real, because people see through that stuff anyway. But it was just funny to me to see that, because both of these shows are messy. I do watch Real Housewives of Potomac. I do not watch Basketball Wives, but I know of it, and I used to watch it back in the day. But I really wanted to just talk about this and get your thoughts on it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.